Sairam, dear listeners, happy Sankranthi and Happy Pongal to all of you. Today, we have an interesting narration by Sri Sunil Nair on his journey of how he became a Shirdi bhakth and how he wanted to share Baba's blessings to everyone across. He thought that building a temple for Shirdi Sai would be the best way for us all to connect, charge, and rejuvenate our spirits by meditating at his form in a mandir. That thought manifested as he got Baba's approval to proceed and his guidance to build a beautiful temple in Trivandrum and Palakkad constructed by Sai himself. The leelas that occurred while on the temple construction will show Baba's omnipresence and blessings for this to take form. And oh yes, there is a sharing on the Guru Mandala too. Interested in hearing more? Then you're in for a spiritual treat today. Let us all immerse in his divinity.
Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Bhagavan Shri Sai Nathaya Namaha. Om Shakti Om. I would like to narrate a few experiences which I have had, which I have been blessed to have with Shirdi Sai Baba a long number of years ago. I do not come from a family who used to be worshippers or devotees of Shirdi Sai Baba. Although my brother-in-law, he used to be a devotee of Satya Sai Baba. But then I came into the fold because of some strange experiences that I've had in my life while I was very young. And that is the beginning of my journey with Shirdi Sai. Let me just give a brief background on how it's all started. I'm an IT professional. So after engineering college, I did a couple of jobs soon after my graduation. And then I had an offer from a IT multinational company in Africa. So I went there for a few months, but it was not to my liking, or it was not what I expected it to be. So I had to come back to India. Then back again, I was job hunting. I was trying to find a suitable opportunity for myself in an IT company. Since I hail from a small town, I could not find appropriate jobs there. So I went on the lookout for a job by going to Chennai and living in a small lodge there. So the routine was, the morning I would wake up, I would start looking out for job. In those days, I have to print out the CVs in hard copy and then circulate it to some recruitment consultants. That was the only way. Back then, there was no internet and there was no applications online. So I did make a CV of whatever little experience I've had, and then I started going and visiting all these recruitment consultants in Chennai. This must be in the year 96, maybe end of 95 or early 96. So this was happening on, and I was a little bit agitated at that point. Although I was very young, I did not know where life would take me. So that is where I was. One night, I was actually returning from after visiting somebody, and then I was trying to go find my way back home to the place where I stayed, the lodge. So for this, I had to get a metro train from the place and then go back to where I was staying. So I was in a bit of a hurry because it was a little bit late at night. It was about 8:45 or 9 at night. And I was returning in a hurried manner. I was just going towards the train station. Doing that, I had to cross the Shirdi Baba temple in Mylapore. So it is a very beautiful temple. Most of you would know. It is perhaps the second most prominent Shirdi Sai temple after the Shirdi Sai Samadhi Mandir in Shirdi. So at that night, when I was hurrying, I could, from the gate of the temple in Mylapore, I could just see the beautiful marble idol, life-size idol of Shirdi Baba. So if all of you who know this temple, which is established by Narasimha Swami and by Shirdi Sai, All India Sai Samaj was the one who constructed the temple. So if you look at that idol, the white marble idol, life-size idol, is actually placed on the floor level. It is not on a raised platform as is the usual case with other temples. So this temple was quite big, so the devotees could actually go into the sanctorum and lay garlands on Baba and also touch his feet and bow to him, etc. So they would allow you to go and touch the idol. So that was the way it was positioned in the temple on the floor level. So out from the gate, when I was looking in, I could see this beautiful idol, and something inside told me that I should go and take pranams, do pranams to Baba, and then proceed to my place of stay. So I was hurrying in to the temple. Strangely enough, although it was late at night, it was a closing time of the temple. I could not see anybody there, not a single soul. There were no devotees. There were no employees of the temple as well to be seen anywhere inside. So I just rushed and went into the sanctorum, and I tried to kneel down and bow to his feet. A strange thing happened then. The Baba's idol was heavily garlanded. So there was one very thick garland made of tulsi leaves. It was so thick and very long because the idol was also life size. So I just bowed down on his one feet, which was firm on the ground. So I bowed there, and then in a fraction of a second, something strange happened. A very huge garland, so thick garland made of tulsi leaves, was actually suddenly jumped out of his neck and fell onto my head. I was startled a bit at that point. I did not know what to do because for a minute I thought, did I really accidentally push it out from his neck and then it would have jumped onto my head? But it was not the case, because the garland was firmly seated on his neck, around his shoulder. It was very firmly seated, so it would take an effort to actually push it up. So when I was startled and the garland fell on my head, and then the instinct inside me told me to simply collect the garland and bow again to him and then leave. I did not think much about it that time because I was a little bit in a hurry, and also I did not know what was happening. I collected the garland and I rushed to the railway station, and I got the train and I got back to where I was. Little did I know, when I look back at life, how my life transformed from that very small fraction of a second incident. It was quite a marvelous journey, a very remarkable turning point in my life from then on. From the next day onwards, I could see many signs of change that was about to happen. Suddenly, it was quiet after I submitted all my CVs to many places. It was quiet for some time. But from the very next morning onwards, I started receiving intimations or calls asking me to appear for interview. So one such interview was with a very renowned IT multinational in India. It was perhaps, I think, the number 1 or number 2 software IT national in India back then. So that company asked me to go out for an interview to meet with them. I believe their office was somewhere in Velachery Road or so. So I visited them in the morning, and I appeared for the interview there. So the vice president of the company was present there, and he was the one who was supposed to interview me. So he came in, and we had some casual chat before coming to the interview. So he asked me to take a seat. When I look at his desk, this desk had a glass top on it, and tucked underneath the glass top was a very beautiful picture of Shirdi Sai Baba. So this struck me. So it was wherever I used to go after that particular date, I could see some changes happening in me, and there were signs all over the place that it was Baba who was actually orchestrating the whole thing. So that interview went very well, and it was for quite a senior position at that time. And they asked me to just wait for some time, which was quite unusual because back in those days, companies do not make such hurried decision to employ somebody. So the vice president had a chat with the HR manager, and they asked me whether I could wait for a few more minutes, and which I agreed. And they came out with, after a few minutes, the HR manager came out with an offer for me. The offer was interesting on multiple accounts. First is that the salary mentioned in the employment offer letter was quite very attractive, I would say. For a person of my age and my experience, it was quite very attractive package, which I could not believe. I could not believe my eyes when I actually saw the salary offer. In addition to that, they were also asking, the position was, which I did not know at the time of applying, the position was to head a state, to begin the business, of that company. The company did not have presence in Kerala, so they wanted somebody to go out there, establish an office and recruit people, and then start the operations in full swing. So this is where it was. And it was quite surprising to me, because I was not so experienced in these kind of matters of establishing an office and recruiting people, etc. However, and the company had, of course, very senior officials in elsewhere who could actually easily take up such a serious job, which is quite challenging, and it was not so easy. However, they chose a young man like me, and they asked me to do this. So it was very sweet in multiple accounts, because this was the first experience that I have had in my life, which was very significant. So going forward, then one blessing came after the other. The Mahaguru was very kind to me, and I had numerous other experiences as well. One such experience is that my younger sister, who was actually living in Dubai at that time, called me and told me that we are planning to go to Shirdi, and then we would like you to join us. So because she was going along with her husband, and she wanted me to go along. I believe that was my first visit to Shirdi. So so we went and had a wonderful darshan of Baba, and I went around, because by the time I was reading Sai Satcharita, so I knew the places where Baba used to frequent, and the experiences that he has had with his devotees, and various landmark places, etc. So we had a nice tour of all the places around Shirdi, and then she went back, and I had to come back, and I started doing whatever I was doing. It was many years later. I would believe it was just last year, when I went to visit her in Dubai. She told me, do you know the real reason why I invited you to come along in a hurried manner to Shirdi along with us in that year? So I said, no, I do not know. So she was saying that Baba appeared in her dream and implored her to actually bring along her brother along to Shirdi. So this was the kindness of the Guru. So I don't know why she kept it a big secret from me for a long time. But eventually, when she told me this, I was very touched, because the Guru was always guiding, the Guru was always protecting, and these were the signs that he was showing to me. After that first job, my career and the profession which I was in took off very well. Not only in the professional front, in the spiritual front, as well as in the personal front, he was very benevolent. So I started trying to understand more about the Guru Parampara, the lineage of the Gurus, and what their actions are, etc. So a thing occurred to me that the blessings that the Guru has bestowed should be for a larger reason. So that means it is probably not for oneself to enjoy the benefits that would accrue out of the blessings, but it should be put use to a larger cause, larger purpose. So I took it to me that the Guru Mandala must be requiring me, or wanting to use my body to carry on the works that they have planned for the benefit of the world. So this is what I understood, and this is what I undertook also from the subsequent years after my first experience. So when you read the Satcharita in with great attention, because Baba says this one book could transform your life. This one book could give you all the lessons that you probably need in life. It is a small book, relatively speaking, when compared to the scriptures that we have in Hinduism. But one of the fundamental points, all of the points are very important, but when you dig deep down, the significance of the Guru philosophy, or the Guru concept in Hinduism is very striking if you look at that. And Baba always encouraged all his devotees, or not only his devotees, all the people who used to visit him at that time, to actually follow one's Guru. You do not have to change Guru because you found what you think is a better Guru or of a higher profile. No, you please stick to your Guru, and the Guru will show you your path. So this brought the curiosity in me. After my first experience with Baba, there were many experiences, and I was very blessed to meet with many devotees of Baba, And this took me on a journey where I met very great souls of, I'm talking about gurus as in general, you know. So the guru is here for a purpose. In the concept of Hinduism, the guru is here for a purpose, to touch people's life, to lead them to the right direction, and they are also on a mass mission to reduce the sufferings or miseries of the world. So the Guru Mandala is a concept which Baba has detailed also, saying that each guru is actually a part of a collective mandala, or a collective community. So each guru is part of that, and one guru is not different from the other. They might look different only in their appearances or in the way they teach, but in reality the guru concept is actually one and only one. And Baba is from a tradition of gurus called the Nath tradition. It is called the golden tradition, the Nath Guru Parampara. So if you look at his name is Sai Nath. So he is following, he is from that lineage of the Nath Parampara. So the gurus can be found for the real seeker. The guru can be found everywhere, and only if it is said in Hindu scriptures that only when the devotee is, or the disciple is truly ready, the guru will reveal himself, you know. Or herself. So the Guru Mandala is a collective term used for the power of the gurus, or the personification of the collective Chaitanya of the gurus. Is called the Guru Mandala. So Guru Mandala can be a term that can be used to encompass all the gurus that are living today, both in physical form also, or also on different realms, you know. So this is what the Guru Mandala concept is. So I was on a quest to understand what does the Guru Mandala or Baba himself want me to do to the world. I was really confused because I did not know what to do with all the blessings that he had given to me. I was only certain that this is perhaps not to be used, or it is probably not wise to use it only for my benefit or the benefit of people who surround me or my family, etc. So on this quest, some days, a few years ago, I think when I was around 34 years or so, I had a serious urge in me, somebody telling within me that the blessing of the guru should be for everybody. And so it is probably as a slightest token of kind of my devotion, it would probably be an appropriate thing to do is to construct a temple in the honor of the guru who has given me everything, you know, for Shirdi Sai Baba. So I hail from Kerala, where there is less understanding or less effort taken to understand about Shirdi Sai Baba. So I did not know how to go about building a temple, etc. So it happened once a few years ago. I happened to be in Trivandrum, the capital city of Kerala, to meet my mother-in-law, who was employed there, who had actually got a transfer, and she's employed in the Reserve Bank there. So on my short holiday, I had come to visit her in Trivandrum. So one day after, at home, I just happened to be in the city. So in the city area, I was going around in one particular area. So I could see one organization with which had a name board with a big picture of both Shirdi Sai Baba and Satya Sai Baba. So out of an impulse, I just walked into the office. It was probably on the second floor of that building. I just walked in and into the office, and there were a few people there. So I asked them, I would like to meet the person who's responsible for this organization. I would like to have a chat with him. So they pointed me to a cabin to ask me to go in, and the person who responsible would be there. So when I went there, he was a middle-aged gentleman. He was wearing a white shirt and white dhoti, and he was in his cabin, and he was he was on a phone. He was speaking to somebody. So when I just knocked his cabin, he asked me to get in, and he beckoned me to have a seat in front of him. So he was on the phone, and I could only hear the conversation that from his end, what he was saying to the other party on the other side of the phone. So he was saying that it is too expensive, and it is not possible for an organization like us, who is into running orphanage, etc., to actually afford that kind of an expense. So probably we are not interested, something like that he said, and he hung up the phone. Then he turned towards me and he asked me, okay, so what is it, and who are you, etc., because we were total strangers. So I introduced myself, and then something in me, that thing came out, and I just told him that I do not belong to this city. I am from a different place. I do not know many people here. But for so many months, I had something in me that I wanted to see if it would be possible to construct a temple in honor of Shirdi Sai Baba. Would you be able to help me in this pursuit? So he was very startled. He was shocked, and he was staring at me for a few minutes. I did not understand the reason for his sudden change in behavior. Then he explained to me, he's just opened by saying this is Baba's Leela, because the phone call I received while you walked into my room was from a workshop, a marble workshop in Jaipur in Rajasthan. And the person at the other end was saying that there is a life-size idol of Shirdi Sai Baba made in marble, white marble. It is ready there. The person who had ordered for the idol now have backtracked and would like to withdraw the order because he is no longer interested in collecting that. So, and this idol was meant for actually installation in a temple. So he was that was a conversation that was happening when I just happened to walk in. So, so I immediately replied to him, yes, let us bring that idol here, and then let us try to construct a temple here. So he was, of course, startled. He would probably have thought that why would a stranger come into my room at that particular point in time when this discussion started, and request for agreeing to construct a temple and bring the idol over to Trivandrum from Jaipur. So then I asked him how much it would cost. At that year, about 16, 17 years ago, it was costing around 5 lakh Indian rupees. So I said, it's okay, I will just get you the money. Then I went back home where I was living with my mother-in-law. I had my checkbook with me. So I returned after a couple of hours and I wrote a check for 5 lakh rupees to him. This is how it started. He was very kind. He actually received the check, and he was also he was in disbelief even then. And then he told me that, I would get back to you soon after I speak to the other person, and also once the check is encashed. So I returned to Dubai where I was, working. So after a few days, he called me and said, yes, the check is encashed and I have transferred the amount to the party in Jaipur, and the idol would come. And once it reaches, I will let you know. So that is where the conversation ended. And after a few days, he came with the good news that the idol has arrived in Trivandrum. It is quite a heavy idol and a very big one. So what do we do next? So I said the next action plan is very clear. We will just go ahead and initiate the construction of the temple. After that, he came back and started giving me the estimates of the cost, and we designed a nice temple for him together. It's quite a big temple with a huge hall before the sanctorum. It's quite huge, and with a lot of granite pillars, and also full granite on the floor as well. So we designed it so beautifully, and more or less the construction was in Shirdi manner. So eventually, about a year and a half, 2 years later, the whole temple was ready. And on the Samadhi day, that is Vijayadashmi day in 2007, we actually invited some priests from Shirdi temple, the Samadhi Mandir in Shirdi, and they all came, and we had a very grand function, and we did the installation of the temple. I believe that was the one of the biggest temples in Trivandrum for Shirdi Sai. There are only two. This is the second one. And so it happened in a very grand manner. So this is this also, see, everything, all the elements of the process was only done through Baba's grace, and right from the beginning, it was very clearly evident that it was he who was driving me to do this, or using my body to do his mission. So this is what happened. After many years, I think in 2014, so in 2012, I also had another, similar kind of urge inside me, telling me that I should actually have one temple in my hometown, because we don't have any Shirdi Baba Mandir in my place, which is Palakkad in Kerala. So I had a feeling that I should have one temple in my own hometown. So towards this thought came. So one of the idea was that, I use one of my land, which was in the heart of the town. So I had owned my own land. So it was very easy. The decision was quite fast. So I wanted to have it constructed in that piece of land. Again, I was working abroad. So I had to get the help of somebody. So I brought my elder sister who was living there. So I brought her along, and then we visited the site, and I told her, while I was in the site, I did not tell her till then. While I was on that site, I just told her that this my idea or my dream is to have one temple in Palakkad, preferably in this plot of land. So again, the reaction from her was also very different, because it was also guided by Baba. So she said that this is not enough space. Although we had what we call as around 22 cents of land, she said perhaps this is not enough. You might need a larger land. Why would you consider if I give 1 acre of so quite a big land of my land in my name, which is also in center of the town? Would you consider there, that place to have the temple constructed? So it was a pleasant surprise to me, and then she readily agreed. She did not even consult anybody, because she was also aware of Baba, and she had joined, and she was also doing some seva in the temple in Trivandrum occasionally. So it came to her also suddenly that it should be done in that land. It was quite big, very spacious, and it had some buildings there which is still there. So it is like would have been ideal, because it has, let's say, a majority of infrastructure already there, and it was only by the road, so people could easily come, and from the either by bus or by any other means, it is very easily accessible. So this kind of then we started the process of applying to the government for the necessary permissions, etc. And eventually we had this temple also established. I think it was on 14th of January in 2014. It was a very nice function, because there was there was a full team of chief priest and all the team from Shirdi Sai Baba Mandir who visited there, and they did it because we established a good relationship with them from the Trivandrum days, and they used to visit us every year in Trivandrum, so we had very good rapport with them. So they all agreed to come. They were kind enough to come, and we did that. One more miracle that happened is that actually there were many incidents while constructing the temple, but I will just tell you from the Pratishtha angle and then go back to other experiences from Baba in between. So in the on sometime around so the temple was constructed, as I mentioned, in January in 2014. So in 2013 June, when the temple structure was almost ready, we could do the installation or consecration only during the Uttarayan period, as per the Hindu practice, which is when the moon comes, when the sun comes into the Makara, month. That is when we do this. Uttarayana begins then. So it was our practice. So we had actually planned it to have it in Uttarayana, the beginning, the first month of Uttarayana, which is Makara. So in June, I had contacted Mohanji, also another Nath Guru. I wanted to call to invite him to come over to the temple consecration and have his presence also there. So I picked up the phone and called him, and he told. So I explained to him this is what is happening in Palakkad. So the temple is coming. He was very greatly pleased, and he told me it is overall a very nice sign, because currently, as you called me, I am standing in Muktinath temple in Nepal. So I'm just about to pray there. So you called me at the right time. So I have one suggestion. So why don't you invite another Nath Guru, who is actually a pontiff of a very big ashram. It is called Sripada Sri Vallabhapuram. Sripada Sri Vallabha is the first Guru after Lord Dattatreya. Lord Dattatreya is considered the first Guru of the Nath tradition. So he is Sripada Sri Vallabha is the next avatar after Lord Dattatreya. So the ashram is located in Andhra Pradesh. It is on the banks of river Krishna. It's a very beautiful ashram. So there is one pontiff, a Nath Guru there. His name is Vittalananda Saraswati Maharaj. So he is there, and he's everybody calls lovingly Babaji also, So Vittal Babaji. So he said that the beauty of this is, if you invite him, it will be good that if he can make it, because he's a very powerful person in terms of spiritually, and he's also from the Nath tradition. And one other important thing which he told me, which also was a surprise, is as a young man, he was on the team of priests who installed the Shirdi Baba idol in the Samadhi Mandir itself. So the first consecration that happened in Sai Baba Mandir, the idol of Baba which is placed there, he was among the team member who installed that. Subsequent to that, he has installed many Baba temples, many Baba Mandirs, idols across India. So he told me that why don't you, it will be good that if he could visit, and his presence in to lead the consecration services will be wonderful, because he is also from Nagpur and he is also pontiff of a big ashram there. So I told him, why don't you invite on our behalf? So he said, I will invite, but it will also be good that we put you on a call and you personally invite. It'll look nice that you are inviting, and let us see what he says. So after a few days, we had a conference call with Vittal Babaji also. So he is at that time, I think he was around 102 or 103 years of age, and he was not in very good health, so he could not travel much. He could definitely not go in flights. So however, when we had a conversation, so we explained to him, this is a place, it is in Kerala, and we would like you to be present there in this consecration. So Vittal Babaji is like a grandfatherly figure, very benevolent, very kind, and very pleasing. So he only told me one one phrase to me, that "Main zarur aaunga beta." That's all what he's told me, that he will definitely come. And then subsequent arrangements were made, and he came in a very big van with a lot of his devotees and people from the ashram. All of them came. So it was very touching for me, because he was a person who was mostly on bed, and he could not travel to long distance. But he, just because it is for Shirdi Baba, he came all the way in a very big van. They had to stop in many places because his health condition was not so good. And then he was there and he led the services. So and that turned out to be that this temple in Palakkad, it is his 100th installation of Shirdi Sai Baba idol. So the first one which he did was a young man, was in Shirdi, and the last one was in Palakkad. Why I say last one? Because unfortunately he left his physical body exactly 6 months later, in July of 2014. So he attained Samadhi, and his Samadhi is still in Sri Pada Sri Vallabhapuram, also known as Kuruvapuram. So this is where he's now there. So everything turned out to be a miracle. So then there was a Nath Guru present to do the consecration. So it was a very wonderful feeling there. I shall name only a couple of experiences in association with the temple in Palakkad. I had a very strong dream one night while I was in Dubai, and the temple work was happening. It was probably in the year 2013, end of 2013, or beginning of 2013 or middle of 2013. So the work was going on in Palakkad. There were engineers and there were sthapatis who were looking at the drawings, and they were doing it. So one night when I was sleeping in my room in Dubai, I could suddenly feel it must have been early morning, because it was must be in Brahma Muhurta, something like 2 to 3 a.m. or so. So I could sense somebody holding my hand very strongly and firmly, and shaking me off my dream. So and I could clearly see, or vividly see in my dream, that it is Baba standing right next to me, holding my hand. And he was looking very angry. He was looking very furious, I would say, and he was shaking my hand. So I remember in my dream that I opened my eyes and I could see his figure. He was in his kafni and all that. And the next scene which I can see is that both of us are standing in the sanctorum which is being built in Palakkad. So he is holding me and I'm following him. He's taking me along with him, and we were encircling the place, the sanctorum, where the idol was supposed to be installed. And then he is telling me, and he was angrily telling me a lot of things, and he was saying, look here. And then he actually asked me to look up onto the gopuram, the tower which is above the idol. It was supposed to be above the idol, and he is keeping on telling me that the dimensions are wrong. You are not paying enough attention, and this is not the way. And he was very, very furious. This is what I could remember. I still remember the kind of firm grip that he had on my hand at that time. And the next morning when I woke up, this one was very, very vivid and clear in my in my mind. So I sensed that something had gone wrong in the calculations or in the construction area. So I just took an immediate flight the morning, and then I rushed to Palakkad. So I went to the sanctorum, and I just got all the engineers and the people who are working there. and then I asked them to recheck the dimensions whether it is as per the what is being prescribed by these tapadis. We had some very senior people, very knowledgeable people who had actually done the sketches for us. So I just asked them to please recheck if it is as per the dimensions that is original in the original sketch. So when they checked, especially on the Gopuram, the tower, they found that the dimensions had, for some reason, had been mistaken. So the construction of the Gopuram or the tower was planned in a different way, which is slightly deviating from these measurements mentioned in the sketch. So this was what was going on. So then I insisted that all of these be corrected and comply to the kind of measurements which are actually as per what is stipulated in the scriptures, because every temple has to be constructed only onto certain dimensions, because it is actually an energy center. In order for the energy to accumulate, all the measurements have to be correct. This is one fundamental thing about Shilpa Shastra, what we call. So this so we corrected everything and we put together everything, and then only the concreting work of the Gopuram started. Had I not gone that day, and had I missed by one day, they would have actually done some action that day or the next day, which would have actually culminated in the whole Gopuram being constructed. And then we had realized the mistake at that point. Then we had no other choice but to bring it down and then reconstruct. So this was where I had actually, that correct day I had to be there. Also Baba's Leela, you see how he took great care. Even though I was out of station, he took great care and ensured that we follow all the measurements correctly and the temple comes in a very nice manner. So this is one of the reasons. One of the experiences that I had very strong in connection with the construction of the temple. Another one, I would talk about a devotee's experience. So at that time, during construction phase, which my sister was overlooking at that time, I did not know. I was a little bit worried. It was not an appropriate thing for a devotee to do, but I was having a little bit of doubt, and I was a little bit worried that not many people, I presumed, okay, this is my mistake, I would know about Baba. So in the event of the temple coming into effect and in being operational, I was just unnecessarily doubting in me, will there be any devotees to come, because there are a lot of temples for the forms of various gods and goddesses in my place. So Baba as a guru, will many people know about him, and will people come to worship him in that temple? So this was what I had going on. As a reply to that, there is another Leela of Baba that happened. So at the time of construction in this whole big plot, we actually missed out to put up a signboard which says that this is the site for construction of where the construction of Shirdi Sai Baba temple is progressing. So we did not do that. So after my one night where I was a little bit agitated and thinking about all these kind of things, I requested my sister to immediately put up a board saying this is a signboard and mention all of these, which she did eventually. Soon after the board was put up, there was an elderly gentleman who came in an auto rickshaw to the temple and met my sister and said who was responsible for the temple and all that. And he was a little bit agitated as well, because he was asking us, since when have you been doing all of this? So she was saying it is happening for the past year and a half, and we are doing all of these approvals, gathering approvals from the various government bodies, etc. So he was saying that Baba appeared in my dream a few months ago and told me that there is a temple in honor of Baba coming up in that place, in that town. So in the rest of your time, you please ensure that you do seva in that temple and use your time and efforts and energy into the well-being of the temple. This is what the dream that he had got. So this uncle was a senior officer in a central government body in the northern part of India, and he had just come to this place to settle because that was his hometown. So after retiring, he has chosen to come and settle there. So he was also quite new to the place. So he was agitated that he was going around the whole town and days after days searching for this temple, which was very clearly narrated to him by Baba himself. So once he came to know, then he started associating with the temple. Today he is very fully involved and he takes care of many of the activities of the temple, etc. So many people also had this kind of so see how the guru works. They have a master plan and they get it done, and we are just instruments. We are all together in it. So this is another experience which is also wonderful. With these few words, I would like to wrap up my experiences at his humble feet of humbly at the lotus feet of Shirdi Sai Baba. Jai Sairam.